Hebrews and Shebrews, I am currently traveling, and I am on somewhat of a vacation, visiting family. But you know, I gotta keep the homies fed, gotta keep the people not hungry. Today we are making more drama with more people. Hell yeah, let's go. Lock in, boys and girls. It's a crazy rabbit hole we're going down today. We are going down the Candace Owens thinks the Jews are controlling everything rabbit hole, and it's gonna be incredibly fun. So this here is Candace Owens. She is one of the biggest political commentators in the world right now. She is on the right. I would call her woke right, personally. You know, woke right is when you blame everything in history on the Jews. Now, I do think there are some things that you can absolutely blame on the Jews. I know, this is a hot take. In fact, I even think you could be critical of Israel and not being an anti-Semite. I know this is a hot take these days, but welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Insane Drama, because woke right, that is when you blame everything on the Jews, all right? I previously did a content nuke on Candace Owens, going into details if you want more info. In that video, I showed clips where she blamed the Jews for inventing dinosaurs, putting them in the ground to trick Christians into thinking that the earth wasn't created by God, okay? She blamed dinosaurs on the Jews. When I saw that clip, I was like, all right, bro. All right, bro. I think she's missing something here. So when I saw that, I started going a little deeper, and then of course she blames the Jews on everything else in history. Also, she blames communism on the Jews. She blames the Holocaust on the Jews somehow. She's pretty cool like that. Anyway, definitely lock in, because she now blames the Jews for running the White House, and also says that RFK Jr., you know, the Make America Healthy Again guy, for being blackmailed by the Jews as well. Now, there's no evidence to any of this, which makes it even funnier. Oh, and she also says that the Jews killed JFK. So since the Kennedy assassination files came out, I feel like we should definitely look into that rabbit hole as well. I can't believe the Jews would put tariffs on Israel. I can't believe the Jews got Trump to put tariffs on Israel. That was such a crazy twist. So, anyway, lock in, everyone. We're going on a big rabbit hole today, and I'm gonna love it very much. Candace Owens is, I would go as far as to say, 100% right now. So this is gonna be very cathartic, very fun. If you hate me just because I'm going against someone you like, that's valid. We are an equal opportunist detection system over here. If there are reasons to detect, we will find them, and we will make fun of them. That's what we do. Now, there are a lot more reasons on the left these days, but that doesn't mean there are a couple of right-wing reasons out there too. So, this was a bit of a viral clip from one of her recent videos. Now you see why I record while I'm on vacation. It's way too fun. I go, I visit family, I'm like, hold up, detected, and there we go. So anyway, lock in, boys and girl. This is a tape that went viral.
Like, it's because this is not helpful to Jews in America. It's for Israel. Like, it feels like Netanyahu is running the White House and Trump's just signing and doing whatever they say, right? It feels like Netanyahu should be sitting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, that's one of the takes of all time. Now, this is the little 12-second clip that went wildly viral. Again, I don't even hate Candace Owens. I just think she completely fell off the deep end on this one specifically. But yeah, so she cooks. Yeah, Israel controls the government, and Jews control the world, and Netanyahu should be the president. Now, remember when Trump put tariffs on Israel, even though Israel dropped their tariffs? And Netanyahu was obviously incredibly butthurt that happened? That's just a classic case of the Jews tricking the people by thinking that they're not controlling the world by tariffing themselves. I know. It's crazy, dude. So this guy's like, Netanyahu is running the White House. I used to love Candace Owens, but her hatred of Jews made her unwatchable. It's kind of wild. And the first response is, are you Jewish? Like, only Jewish people are allowed to be upset that she's blaming everything in history on the Jews. Now, I am going to bring you down the wildest rabbit hole, probably, of your life. So it all starts with this. Candace Owens has started a new series recently where she blames everything, well, not just on the Jews, but specifically RFK Jr. must be getting blackmailed by the Jews. He is the guy that Trump put in charge of health in America.
And it is us telling you the truth, okay? The more you hang out in these circles, the more...
And she always tells you, it's the truth, because I said it's the truth. There might not be evidence, but it's true, it's the truth.
You learn which individuals there seems to be blackmail on, and RFK Jr. is one of them. They have sexual blackmail on RFK Jr.
They is the Jews. The wildest part is There's no evidence. There's zero evidence. She's made 6 videos on this. 6 videos about how Jews have sexual blackmail on RFK Jr., man. And not one bit of evidence in all 6 of those videos.
That was told to people in my circle, and
oh, her circle. Her circle. Conspiracy. Andrew Tate is in her circle. Yes.
Jessica Reed Krause knows that. Okay, this is not something that I would say unless I was certain of this.
Oh, she's certain of it. Not something she'd say.
What they were fearful of coming out about him, something that would be extremely embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that's a good screenshot face. Yeah, no, it's extremely embarrassing. He's obviously being blackmailed. They're sexual blackmail. They have sexual blackmail on RFK Jr. based on what was told to her circle, meaning someone anonymous sent her a DM. There is no way anyone could do that just to mess with her, right? Now, this is definitely a wild ride for sure. I personally love it. She defending Andrew Tate for me was the red flag that made me start looking into her. Like, she's a Christian, hardcore Christian girl, which is very respectable. But she is out there running defense for a self-described pimp, probably rapist. Again, I'm not getting into any of that specifically, but bro, I covered the details on my entire opinion about her on the actual content nuke on Candace Owens. But bro, it gets wilder. So this is Ian Carroll. He is another character in the giant Candace Owens collaboration drama rabbit hole. So this is her channel, right? This is Candace Owens' channel. If you look at her videos, RFK Jr. exposed, all right, because they're compromised. All right, we have RFK Jr. and the pesky CIA rumors. We have who is controlling RFK Jr. Half of her content over the last 2 months has been RFK Jr. is being controlled and manipulated, and everyone's controlling RFK Jr. Now, this Ian Carroll character, you will know him because he recently did a big collab with Candace Owens. He was also recently on Joe Rogan. He's a big conspiracy theorist, guys, and I am not against conspiracy theorists. I think it's important to ask all sorts of questions, but he made this post on Twitter March 29th, which is over 2 weeks ago, in case any of you are keeping track. This has 11 million views. All right, this is a massive fucking video. Breaking. The RFK Jr. blackmail story is breaking from multiple angles right now. It's bad, even worse than I say in this video. Blackmailed by certain people. It's the Jews. At the highest level of American politics right now in 2025. Buckle up, it's about to get weird. So lock in, buckle up, guys. Are you ready to see all sorts of unbelievable amounts of evidence? Get ready for crazy evidence. Spoilers, there's no evidence.
So the Bobby Kennedy blackmail story is currently breaking.
It's not breaking. There is no story.
In many directions, all across the internet.
All across the internet. Meaning this guy and Candace Owens. It is not breaking anywhere. There is no break. In fact, you know, I'll just show you how breaking this story is. So I asked the AI, is there any hard evidence, audio or documents to RFK Jr. blackmail operation, or is it only baseless speculation? There is no hard evidence, such as any of this or any of that. It's all speculative. Is there any evidence at all? No credible evidence. No verifiable audio documents. First-hand accounts even. There isn't even testimony. There isn't even testimony, bro. Come on, man.
And American politics is not going to be the same after this weekend.
All right, so his claim is American politics is changing specifically after this weekend. Now, remember, this weekend was more than 2 weeks ago. I don't know if any of you are aware, but nothing did change. Nothing did come out. It was revealed to him in a dream that RFK Jr. Again, I'm not even saying this is not true. Maybe it is true, but there's no evidence at all. The fact that he says that everything is going to change after this weekend and literally nothing changed after that weekend, I wanted to wait to see if something would come out. I was there when he posted this video. It got 11 million views. Everyone was saying, holy shit, this is crazy. And he said, after this weekend, everything's going to change. And I waited. And I gave him another week. And I gave him another week. And they kept hammering on this conspiracy. Anyway.
That's not hyperbole. This is not just a hook. And
well, it was hyperbole, I guess. Or a lie.
Don't really know where to start. But this is the kind of story that I've gotten enough calls from enough people tonight, and there's enough going on that I feel like we need to make a video right now to keep some people safe.
And that is the angle he goes. The reason why he is exposing this entire operation is because otherwise the Jews will kill them. That's right. I know. It's crazy. He's got to put evidence out there before the Jews kill all the people involved. I'm not even joking. It gets crazier and crazier the deeper you go. And it sounds good on the surface level until you start like trying to put it together and see if there actually is any evidence there. I'm not going to show you. There are 4 hours of Candace Owens content on this one point, and there isn't an actual bit of evidence. It's like the evidence is all, so RFK Jr. was friends with a guy whose son married a lady that used to be in the CIA. That is literally the evidence that she gives.
And to get as much as we all know out on the internet right now so that everyone can be safe.
And the best everyone needs to be safe.
Place for everyone to start is at Candace's video that she put up today, that she very aptly titled One Nation Under Blackmail. Go watch
the Jews.
Watch it. She does a way better job of explaining a bunch of what's going on than I could. But as soon as I was like 10 minutes into it, and then I started getting phone calls from sources telling me more information that is corroborating and taking it even further than what is exposed in that video.
All right, so basically, he got phone calls saying, holy shit, it's happening.
And I have sources telling me that there are people in like media and around Bobby that know about this and know it's coming and are trying to protect him and save him from this. But it is past that, and there is no saving.
Yeah, this isn't fear-mongering at all. There are people around him trying to protect him and save him, but it's past that. He's so over. It's done. He's cooked. Nothing happened. No, nothing happened. This was posted 2 weeks ago, and the world was supposed to change.
Anyone from this, I think, and we just have to deal with what's about to happen.
Right.
So I'm going to leave all of that out.
What's about to happen, and then nothing happens.
And we're going to start the story here.
All right.
With our girl Jessica, House and Habit. She had tasked one of...
This is how the videos go. It's like connecting people to people to people to people that might have connections with other people, but it doesn't actually prove anything.
For writers, Emily Hagan, with writing a hit piece about Candace Owens. They were trying to create or dig up some dirt on Candace's husband for some reason to take her down.
For some reason. Candace's husband is a long-standing friend of self-proclaimed pimped and probably sex trafficker Andrew Tate. I wonder why someone would want to write an actual piece about that guy. Big shock that Candace Owens' husband, who's by the way the friend of one of the most notorious alleged criminals on the planet right now, might be looked into. Kind of weird.
For reasons we'll kind of get to in a second.
Right.
Emily submitted
They're trying to take down Candace Owens because she has too much truth to share about Jews, probably.
Draft, kind of, and they...
God, I would love if people could blame shit on Jews and actually have evidence. Remember those days? Remember those days? Look, there's definitely some bad Jews out there. I ain't denying it. There's bad people in every group. But, like, come on, man.
Jessica, House and Habit, was having her girl, I believe, Olivia Nuzzi, read through it, and it was like, we can't publish that. It's too 4chan-y. House and Habit clarified that it needs to be a clean shot. A clean shot to take down Candace Owens. Good fucking luck with that.
Bro, these are just journalists talking about this shit.
If you don't remember who Olivia Nuzzi is,
right.
She's the woman that had the sexting scandal with RFK last year, who then cozied up to House and Habit for reasons that are not entirely clear, and sort of started secretly editing there behind the scenes and kind of replacing people and getting really close to Jessica Reed Krause, House and Habit.
Maybe.
For reasons that are still not entirely clear as far as I'm aware.
Maybe. I don't even know if it happened, but maybe. Maybe it happened, and even if it did, who is she? That you're hitting the nail on the head, random chatter. That's the point. Who is she is the ultimate silver bullet against this conspiracy theory. It is going to build a giant rabbit hole about some person who might be compromised that's somewhat related to RFK.
To be fair, there's a lot that is not entirely...
Apparently, she's the one who sent RFK her nudes, and RFK's wife was very upset about it, and that is the whole story. As far as I'm aware. Maybe they sexted or something. Again, it doesn't matter. Not relevant.
Entirely clear because this is so complicated, and everything in this video is hearsay and rumors.
Everything in this video is just hearsay and rumors. Definitely don't arrest me for saying that the Jews are controlling RFK.
And obviously, when they tried to come to Candace and it created all this drama.
Oh, Lord.
Candace don't take no fucking shit.
Yeah.
And Jessica had been super mean to the writer of the article and had then fired her. And so her and Emily had all this drama, and then her other best friend, and it had gotten super fucking vitriolic.
Right.
And eventually Emily was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Candace and come clean and say what's going on.
Okay.
That's how we got this video. And I was only 15 minutes into this video when I started getting interrupted
calls
by all kinds of calls.
Oh my God.
From all kinds of
People were calling
all over
That's
the
evidence.
country that have more information about this. Because this story is way past the point of no return. And
Except there isn't a story. That's the one difference. The story is past the point, but there isn't a story.
It is way bigger than some girl drama. So at the second Trump Butler rally in July of last year, House and Habit was hanging out with some of the people that I know and apparently receiving a bunch of phone calls all about this blackmail situation with the Olivia Nuzzi sexting scandal.
What? There is no evidence to a blackmail situation. I just want to be clear here. There is zero evidence to a blackmail situation. I would love evidence for this stuff, but what are we doing?
And while she was taking calls, she was kind of filling them in excitedly on the story as she was getting it, kind of as though she was going to write a piece about it. And
she was talking to his friends, and they were gossiping about something that might be happening, and holy shit, that's crazy.
What they were told is that it was many, 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 many instances of recorded video sexting stuff.
So he heard from a friend who knows someone at a rally who spoke to a girl that told him that she knows of recordings of sexting. We on the same page? All right? And it's the Jews that are doing it to blackmail him, probably. I think.
They were told in some form that Olivia Nuzzi's husband was in on recording it. Whether that is him tapping her phone or her and him obviously as a husband-wife couple kind of targeting him. I mean, Olivia Nuzzi did insert herself into the RFK campaign, and then all this stuff happened. And then when I was at Rescue the Republic event just a few months later, I was hearing all kinds of rumors, and a lot of people were hearing rumors about dick pics that were apparently coming out that never came out.
Dick pics that never came out? Dude, it's over for him. He's cooked. It's over. It's the Jews.
I suspect that
there wasn't even a foreskin on that dick. That's crazy.
Was a misunderstanding of this story sort of being kind of rumored around.
So when someone said, I heard that this guy has a dick pic, the Candace Owens, Ian Carroll response is, oh shit, blackmailed by the Jews. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I know I'm being facetious and sarcastic here. I'm just saying that this is the level of bullshit that you have to deal with and wade through on a daily basis. Hours of content of this shit, of people pushing these conspiracy theories. I wouldn't be talking about this unless I didn't find it very funny. I personally do find it very funny. I know I shouldn't. I know I should say it's incredibly serious that there's like millions of people that are believing stuff like this. But I find it very funny personally. I do. I will look at the world like my personal entertainment theater sometimes, and God, I'm winning.
So what we got was a story that Olivia Nuzzi and him had a romantic, emotional connection over the phone that had caused her, it was inappropriate, and he apologized, and so she left the campaign sort of.
Okay.
And then went and got real cozy with House and Habit.
Okay.
Who had a lot of details, who was rad. I don't know what happened there, but I know that what a very trusted person on my end told me that they heard at that event was that it was not just that. It was recordings of video sex.
That's it, baby. He heard from his friend that heard from someone on the campaign that when there was sexting, there was also sex. And that means the Jews are blackmailing him.
There's also a lot of swirling rumors of other people that he's been having sex with that are very heartbreaking and inappropriate.
Oh my God, rumors of a man having sex. It must be the Jews.
But I started to wonder, who might Olivia Nuzzi and possibly her husband, who, if they had that, who might they have passed such blackmail to?
That is the craziest jump in a minute. Did you hear this? He just in 1 minute made the most obvious logical fallacy of all time. If a girl is having sex with a man, who would she pass the blackmail to? All right, do you hear this shit? It's crazy.
Either sold it or been sent by some group. And you need look no further than her Wikipedia page to learn that in 2013, just out of university, actually while still in university, she volunteered as an intern for Anthony Weiner's New York City mayoral campaign.
That explains everything.
If you don't know about Anthony Weiner,
my God.
Look it up.
Look it up, bro.
And that is a direct tie to Huma Abedin and to Hillary Clinton.
God.
And to, at that point, just pick your term for whatever deep state groups you want to talk about.
Yeah.
That blackmail could be anywhere by now. But
True.
I think we all know.
Again, we don't know that there is blackmail, but he said that blackmail that we don't know exists could be anywhere right now.
Know who has it. And Candace certainly knows who has it.
Oh my God, Candace figured it out. It's the Jews. God damn it, she is so good at this. She is so good at finding out who has blackmail on people.
All that we're all doing at the moment is pretending that RFK Jr.'s unflinching loyalty and, quite frankly, his fear of saying anything negative about Israel. Bro,
I cannot believe this. RFK Jr. was on a podcast where he said something pro-Israel once. He's owned by the Jews. It's the blackmail operation. The Jews own him. It's over.
I pull up Dave Smith here.
The worst humanitarian catastrophe in the world
You can take
right
me out
now.
of this.
And the idea that you, who are supposed to be the anti-neocon, anti-war presidential candidate, are immediately, on October 7th, before we even had an investigation, before we even knew what happened there, you immediately say, well, basically you said everything they say about Ukraine. You said it was an unprovoked attack, which, like, come on, give me a break. An attack from Gaza against Israel is unprovoked.
I mean, from my perspective, 3,000 terrorists entering a country, murdering innocent babies and women, nothing provokes that. That is, So he said it's unprovoked. When a terrorist attack happened, he said it's unprovoked. Because let's be real here for a second. What would this attack accomplish? What would the attack accomplish? Do you think they were going to conquer all of Israel? 3,000 terrorists were going to conquer the country? Like, what were they doing there? Again, I'm not getting involved in this debate specifically, but from the perspective of RFK Jr., him saying that a terrorist attack was bad does not mean that Israel has a blackmail ring that they own him.
And then you said, we have to support them in whatever it takes. Well, look, sir, we're watching it right now. This is whatever it takes.
And just to clarify, there's a lot of other evidence that Israel and Israel-aligned people are involved.
There's evidence that Israel-aligned people are involved with the non-existent blackmail story. What are we doing?
Having this blackmail, but I don't want to get into details just yet because...
You know why? Guess why? Guess why he doesn't want to get into details, all right? Think about it just for a second. Why doesn't he want to get into details? A, there's no evidence. B, it'll put the people in danger that the Jews will kill them. Or C, I'm retarded. Pick A, B, or C, chat. Lock in your answers. Lock in. Oh, and D, all of the above.
That would kind of compromise some of the journalists that are currently a little at risk.
It'll compromise the journalists at risk. Yep, there we go. It's too dangerous to give any evidence.
Right now, Bobby's own staff around him, they know this, and they have been trying to find the handler that's close to him because it must be very close in order to be managing his tweets.
They're trying to find the Israel handler that's managing his tweets that has the blackmail on him. They're trying to find the non-existent guy.
And managing his appearances and everything he's doing. And it sounds like there's a lot of people that are trying to protect him from this coming out, but it is already coming out. And unfortunately...
It's not out. It's not out, though. Nothing is out. There is no evidence of anything out. It's not out.
It is out enough that...
It's not out, though.
Journalists are in danger. And the point of this video is to let everyone know.
Right. The point of this video is not to boost my career with 11.6 million views. No. The point of this video is to keep journalists alive.
That the journalists are all in connection, and we are all talking, and we all know the story, and we have all shared it already, and we are all location sharing with each other.
They're location sharing in case one of them gets taken out, they'll know.
And we are looking out for each other.
Yeah, if one of those journalists ends up suspiciously abducted in a suitcase and ends up in Israel, they'll know what's happening.
And so Emily Hagan is protected.
She's protected.
And
She's protected. Yeah, that's right. Couple of white guys have location shared Emily Hagan. What are they gonna do to her now? Israel thought they could get an upper hand on a couple of people with location sharing? Oh, think again. Shadow government that's allegedly controlling the United States?
We're watching her, and we have her location shared, and she's already put her stuff out on the internet. But if anything were to happen to her, we are watching, and we will know who did it.
Who did it? They'll know who did it. Wink, 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 wink.
There are other people, too, that have information about this stuff that are in positions that are a little scary right now. And to everyone out there in the bad team, we are also in touch with them, and we are also watching them and location sharing with them.
Oh, my God.
Do not touch anyone. Decentralized media.
You hear that, Israel? Don't touch his sources, because they'll know.
Is doing its thing. And I wish that we didn't have to do it this way. And I do not know all the details yet, and I don't know if every single little detail that I just said is correct.
He doesn't know all the details. He doesn't know if anything he said was right. There's no evidence to anything he said. But trust me, bro, Israel's controlling RFK Jr. with a blackmail campaign. That was literally his entire video. Are we on the same page? That was the whole video? Are we on the same page? This has 11.6 million views. There's zero evidence to any of this actually happening. Again, I personally think that I'm sure blackmail campaigns have happened in the past. I'm sure it happened, okay? I'm not saying that it's like a completely impossibility. It's just wild when there are so many of them. So this is a side-by-side of his original post and then his clarification post when, shocker, nothing did come out after he said it was coming out this weekend.
So the Bobby Kennedy blackmail story is currently breaking.
It's breaking.
In many directions.
Right.
All across the internet.
Right.
And American politics is not going to be the same after this weekend.
All right. So American politics, not the same after the weekend. That was 2.5, almost 3 weeks ago.
A few moments later.
Let's clear up all the misconceptions about this.
Let's clear some shit up here, all right? Nothing happened this weekend, like I said it would. Let's clear this shit up. Who's behind this? All right. All right, let's clear some shit up, baby. I don't know. People are getting the wrong opinion. When I said the Jews were controlling RFK Jr. and it would get released, I think you're taking me out of context.
The RFK Jr. blackmail. And the most awkward part is that everyone has different theories about who is controlled within Bobby's camp, who is controlling him.
All right, he's definitely controlled. There's definitely people getting controlled. The theories are who's controlled.
Who is an op and who is not.
Right.
And it's all just allegations without smoking guns.
So there's no evidence. And the craziest part is the allegations are coming from anonymous sources. There isn't even a real person willing to put their fucking ballsack behind the allegations. The allegations are coming from nowhere. The allegations are coming from this guy's friend's friend. Okay? Oh.
Starting to throw mud and allegations at specific individuals around Bobby without any evidence of it, or at least without a smoking gun, is super complicated.
Yeah, you don't say.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Crazy. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, so anyway, Candace Owens is in bed with Ian Carroll here. Remember, I'm trying to put this into perspective for a second. She has now made 3 dedicated videos over the last 2 weeks. Who's controlling RFK Jr.? RFK Jr. and the CIA rumors. All right, we got compromised RFK Jr. She has made 3 videos in the last 2 weeks talking about how Jews are controlling RFK Jr. with not one shred of evidence that was posted anywhere. 3 hour-long videos with 0 evidence. Just basically loosely talking about connections that RFK Jr. had to people that used to be somewhat connected to the CIA, and as we know, the CIA is controlled by Israel. Like, that is the level of fucking brain damage that you have to wade through and deal with. So she has this other little montage that was put out about how she's talking about how Netanyahu is controlling the government.
Accept racial supremacy. I will never accept ethnic supremacy,
Me too.
even if it's Black
Me too,
people,
bro.
even if it's
Me
my
too.
own people. Okay?
Me too.
I
Oh
just
my
won't
God,
accept
yes.
That's just the reality.
I agree.
And now we're arriving at that exact same thing happening.
It
It's
is?
not happening under Biden.
Wait.
It's not happening under Obama.
Wait, it's not-
happening under Trump.
That's right. Newest Trump hater retard has been detected. It's Candace Owens, someone incredibly right-wing who was thought that she was going to end up in part of Trump's cabinet of some degree, and then Trump was like, nah, I don't want Candace Owens in my group actually at all. And then Candace Owens became the ultimate anti-Trump voice in the world because Trump is controlled by Israel. All 7 swing states, no Candaces. Candace nuts, slide on your face.
Okay. And it is under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Right. Anti-Semitism on college campuses. Also known as people that materially support terrorists that want the downfall of Western civilization. Imagine taking it out of context in this way. This is like Hassan Piker level talking points.
And that this is an epidemic. And you've got the Human Health Secretary, RFK Jr., saying, oh, we have to declare this an epidemic.
Oh my God, here's RFK Jr. standing next to a Jew. Guys, it's over. They have a picture with him standing with a Jew? Oh, fuck, it's over.
And what we're really talking about is people voicing opinions against Israel's policies.
Yeah, that's not true. It's not about voicing opinions against Israel policies. This is like another famous Candace Owens grift where she keeps talking about how, and no one is even allowed to say anything against Israel. Her entire career is saying things against Israel. What are you talking about? No one is able to voice their opinions against Israel. There's no freedom of speech. After she literally spends endless hours talking about how she thinks Israel is blackmailing and controlling Trump. Okay? What the fuck, man?
I'm blowing up Palestinian kids. You can accept that or you cannot accept that. It is just the reality.
And then she'll say things like that. It's just the reality. People are going in jail if they criticize Israel. No one has ever gone to jail for criticizing Israel. Just saying. Fact. That is not why anyone has ever gone to jail in the history of America. There is nothing to say. There is literally nothing to say. There are rallies every day saying free Palestine. Those people are not in jail. Okay, none of them. Only the ones that directly support the downfall of Western civilization and are not citizens of America. Those guys rightfully are getting deported because, you know, why do you want... She's supposed to be anti-immigration. But here you have a non-American citizen that wants the downfall of Western civilization, and she just hates Jews more than she loves America, I guess. It's crazy.
And if you don't understand how close we are inching to them destroying free speech.
Them! Shows picture of Jews. They're doing it! Oh, no!
And once speech goes, everything else goes. Then you need to start paying attention.
Yeah, they are not ending freedom of speech as we know it. Last I checked. Like, what are we even doing, man? Like, it's crazy to be on this ride. And all these clips I'm showing, by the way, are since my content nuke on Candace Owens. These are new clips, okay? I'm not even digging into the Jews invented dinosaurs theory.
They are redefining anti-Semitism to even be parts of the Bible.
What?
They're saying that it is
What?
Anti-Semitism, and the Trump administration is pushing this on college campuses to even suggest that a Jewish person might be more loyal to Israel than they are to America.
No one has ever said that! Dude! And she shows a clip. The White House voices alarm at reports of anti-Jewish incidents at UNS universities. You know what the anti-Jewish incidents were? Literally attacking Jews. Like beating them up. Like not letting them into classrooms. Like barricading them in libraries. Like breaking windows. That's the anti-Jewish incidents he's talking about. Not mentioning Israel. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's totally plausible. It's totally plausible that a black person in America might be more loyal to Uganda than they are to America. Look at that is like,
sure.
What are we even, why are
No one
we
cares.
redefining this? Portions of the Bible? I mean, it's getting crazy.
Portions of the Bible?
So I want to show you.
Well, who is imprisoned for quoting the Bible? Show me someone imprisoned in America for quoting the Bible, and I will delete my channel.
You the Senate hearing. So they had another Senate hearing, like the one that I showed up on, except this one, it was on anti-Semitism on college campuses. And I want you to listen to what this rabbi got up.
And here's her evidence. Are you ready? You're locked in, all right? You heard her claims, and now you're going to hear her evidence.
Said as he called for hate speech laws. Okay, this is Rabbi Levi Shemtov. He is the executive vice president of American Friends of Lubavitch.
Oh! There was one Hasidic man who said something in Congress that she doesn't agree with. And this is her evidence that America is ending freedom of speech. Alexander Anderson.
This is like a
oh my God, Jews!
I spoke about, and RFK Jr. came and said, don't speak about Lubavitch. And I said, this is actually a very radical form of Judaism.
A radical form of Judaism known for excessive opening restaurants around the world that are kosher. They are so extreme. There is no example of extreme the most extreme parts of Lubavitch is that they thought that their previous rabbi was the Messiah. That was literally the most extreme part of Lubavitch, by the way. Like, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. They don't do anything extreme. I don't think a Lubavitcher has ever murdered a man. Like, dude, they are the least extreme people on the planet. They're like the ultimate pacifists.
Here is what he said.
Like, she could have picked so many other extreme parts of Judaism, and she picked them.
Listen to him standing up. Rabbi Levi Shemtov. Here's what he wants for America.
As my father once taught me, it is not enough for people, especially public figures, to be neutral or not be anti-Semitic. One must be anti-Semitic.
It's just like, it's word for word what BLM said.
Okay, so let me get this straight. A rabbi went to Congress and said, hey guys, can we be anti-Semitic? And her response is, holy shit, freedom of speech is ending. Now, I don't even agree with that statement. I don't think that you should make, voicing your thoughts against Israel or even Jews as hate crimes. I think they are protected by freedom of speech. I think that the guy's speech was bad. I think that rabbi's speech was not good, okay? I agree that the speech was bad. But saying that this is evidence that the country is ending freedom of speech is the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, it's straight retardation.
It's not enough. You have to be anti the thing.
So her evidence that freedom of speech is ending in America is that a rabbi said something once somewhere, and it had no power and didn't change any laws. That's the evidence.
So what is happening right now that we, meaning the people...
All right, so a guy said a stupid statement, and the proof is...
who voted for and have supported Trump for years and got him into office because we actually were standing up to him when BLM was going crazy and calling everybody white supremacists and people, while Trump was in office, there were George Floyd riots. People that stood up for him and said, this is wrong, are now watching his administration execute the exact same thing.
They're not executing anything. Nothing has been executed. They're not making executive orders. If you criticize Jews, you go to jail. Okay? They're not doing any of that. What is happening? What is going on?
But this time it's for anti-Semitism. And it's not even for anti-Semitism, really. It's because this is not helpful to Jews in America. It's for Israel.
Hello, she censors Jews in her videos.
Like, it feels like Netanyahu is running the White House and Trump's just signing and doing whatever they say.
It's crazy. How do you even say things like this? Like, if you know anything about politics, how do you even say anything like this? All right, look at this one meeting between Netanyahu and Trump as an example. I'm glad she's using this image. Let me use this image as an example. Netanyahu flew for 12 hours to meet Trump and say, I removed my tariffs, can you remove yours? And Trump said, no. And then Netanyahu flew 12 hours back. Are we on the same page? That's what this meeting happened, right? This is Netanyahu in planes for 24 hours, okay? And dropped Israel's tariffs on America. And Trump said to him, yeah, we're still keeping our tariffs. Exactly what the Jews always wanted. Oh my God.
Right? It feels like Netanyahu should be sitting in the Oval Office
as
they demand hate speech laws and they get what they want. Every day they're announcing something that
there's no hate speech laws
to further support Israel.
And
that something is now looking to me like a detriment to American freedom.
Oh my
if you
God.
can't see that, okay, it is time for you to take off the rose-colored glasses.
Wake up, guys. Wake up. It's time to become woke. Hell yeah. Israel is on it. She also has the, I'll show this in a second. I wanted to show this first. All right, so this was me earlier. I made a video talking about the Netanyahu-Trump meeting, and Twitter's absolute meltdown over the fact that Trump helped Netanyahu sit down like a gentleman, even though Trump also helped Modi, the Prime Minister of India, sit down as well. Like, all these news sites, Trump pulls out chair for Israel's Netanyahu. He's obviously controlled. Oh my God, watch U.S. President Trump pull out chair for Netanyahu. Watch President Netanyahu. I cannot believe this happens. He's seating him cucked again. Manners in my White House? No, it's a humiliation ritual. That's what it is. People losing their absolute shit that this happened, but of course, no one actually cares. The servant of Netanyahu, I can't believe he would do such a thing. For pulling his chair out. They're claiming he's controlled by Israel. This is like the Candace Owens statement. But if you'll notice, this video over here, this is Modi, the Prime Minister of India. Thing is, and this was not reported on the news anywhere, Trump also helps, Modi, President Modi. This is the president of India. He also helps him sit down when he signs papers. Oh my God, it's almost like Trump is just a nice guy, respects people that respect him, and actually, is a normal guy with manners. What? Now Modi, not the Jews, probably is also controlling America. I am waiting for Candace Owens to start blaming all of world issues on India, right? India also contributed to 9/11, probably, according to Candace Owens. Now, this is not the only rabbit hole Candace Owens has been going down lately in regards to the Jews. It is so weird and lame that we are still pretending like we don't know who murdered JFK. My whole timeline is her timeline. Her timeline, the people that the algorithm put in front of her, is feigning shock and surprise that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald, lol. One nation under blackmail, indeed. Now, this is an obvious reference to her video about who is controlling RFK Jr., titled One Nation Under Blackmail, saying that it's the Jews. So basically, Candace Owens is so certain it's the Jews, it's so weird and lame that we are not we're still pretending like we don't know that the Jews murdered RFK. Now, there were RFK documents released. Wendigoon made a hour and 40-minute long video going through the RFK documents, the JFK documents. So we're going to look into an actual, relatively, from my perspective, unbiased perspective. Now, Wendigoon is a religious Christian man. He looked through the actual JFK files, and let's see what actually happens in regards to Israel, because Israel was mentioned 3 times in the JFK documents, the 80,000 pages. Israel was mentioned 3 times. Cuba was mentioned thousands of times. The KGB was mentioned thousands of times. Candace Owens, case closed. I was proven right. Conspiracy theorists win again. Can we stop calling us conspiracy theorists and start calling us conspiracy realists? The experts don't know anything after all. Cooked, it's over, it's the Jews. Israel was mentioned, it's over. So let's actually see what was actually mentioned, because she clearly understands that it was Israel that killed JFK.
Also, speaking of things that people are saying is in here that aren't really, I should probably mention the whole Israel thing.
Okay.
Now, there are some excerpts from the files that have been released.
Because, he is directly talking about the Candace Owens people that are peddling like little screenshots saying that, well, proof, Israel did it.
That mention Israel. One of them is right here.
All right.
So again, the JFK files are a compilation of any internal document that has anything to do with Kennedy. And this comes from an investigation that was happening in 1998. In 1998, the CIA was investigating this guy, and they had bugged his house in Cairo, Egypt.
All right.
And in this transcript, we have a conversation between what I believe is a covert operative, or effectively an undercover agent, who is talking to the guy they're spying on. It says that the agent apologized for not phoning. Awesome. Subject replied that the agent could call at his home anytime unannounced. He understood the agent's aversion to phones and added that Ethiopians tap diplomats.
His aversion to phones. Oh no, this is someone I would trust.
It's office and home phones, which is funny because he is talking to an undercover CIA agent. Yeah, those Ethiopians really like to spy on people. During conversation with
By the way, let's just put this into perspective. If Israel or the Jews was never ever mentioned in the JFK files, that just means that Candace Owens would say, it's so unlikely that Israel wouldn't be mentioned at all in the files. The Jews must have taken it out of the fucking files. Bro. You know that's real, bro. What are you gonna do with these people? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. It was always the Jews, evidence or not.
Subject turned on tape player for sound masking and explained his home had not yet been tested for bugs. And then, this is so funny, in parentheses, the CIA typed, a simple test is turn off all the appliances and check the electric meter. There's also a more sophisticated test.
Right, so the CIA was making fun of this guy on the phone who was telling conspiracy theories. That is what it said in the actual documents.
Perhaps it's the subject who was saying that, but the fact it's in parentheses, I choose to believe that the CIA in their own memos, like...
They added it in because this guy's like a conspiracy nut. This guy's crazy. He's fucking getting shungite crystals to prevent people from listening into their phone conversations.
Wanted to find our bugs. He could just turn the lights off. Subject phoned spouse in Cairo and had agent speak with her.
All right.
Subject gave agent 2 small gifts. Subject's brother-in-law is no good. He asked his father-in-law for money. Saudi attach weighty A. Saudi may be the Saudi intel officer in Addis, but subject is not yet sure. Israel is no good. Israel was behind the JFK assassination.
Oh, God.
Subject...
It's over. It literally said it. Except it didn't say it. It was literally quoting a nutcase in Egypt. A guy in Egypt told a CIA agent Israel was behind the assassination. And this is Candace Owens' smoking gun. This is it. It's over. It's over. A guy in Egypt said it. Oh, fuck. Wrap it up, boys. It's over. Checks out.
Cheated on his wife only 3 times. And then he describes his affair
going.
and says the owner of Concord nightclub smuggles mercury, has good connections among Israelis and Ethiopian government. So this is a conversation with a guy that the CIA is spying on. The only reason it's included in these documents is because he mentions the JFK assassination. And this guy, in the midst of talking about how...
This isn't even part of the JFK files, that actually investigated the assassination. This is only mentioned because he mentioned it. And they just kind of like Control F searched every time JFK was mentioned anywhere and released all that to the internet.
Doesn't like his brother-in-law and how he's only cheated on his wife 3 times.
All right, so this dude that only cheated on his wife 3 times, that's a retard, that can't figure out how to turn off bugs, is actually still bugged talking to CIA agent, and he's like, holy shit, Israel killed JFK. That's the evidence.
He says that he thinks Israel killed Kennedy. And again, this entire thing is just an internal document talking about spying on him. But people have been taking this screenshot and posting it around to say,
oh, people have been doing this. I know Wendigoon doesn't want to get into drama, but people have been taking this screenshot and taking it places. Who could these people be?
Look, Israel killed Kennedy just because this guy in Egypt says they did. There's actually another document about this dude. In another conversation with an undercover agent, it says...
All right, it's just another conversation with this guy. He blames something else on Israel, like he does.
Raised the terrorist killing of U.S. diplomatic personnel in Karachi on the 8th of March to gauge Lashin's response. Lashin being the guy that they're talking to. Or at least I assume this is the same guy because it's in the same string of documents and seems to be in the same location at the same point in time. Everyone gets new names in each document you look at, so who knows? But anyway, the undercover agent raised this political point to see how Lashin would respond and says, after launching into a homily about how the prophet had called for mercy and decency by warriors in the treatment of civilians, Lashin went on to spin a series of typically paranoid Arab conspiracy theories.
This is the guy. They even call him a paranoid freak in the documents. This is the guy that they take at face value. How can you trust anything that these people propagate you without evidence? I love evidence. Evidence is beautiful. Evidence is so nice. The actual CIA documents are making fun of this guy for being a freak loser retard. And she's like, holy shit, this guy in Egypt, he knew. He's so right.
He suggested that the assassination of JFK and Anwar were somehow the work of the Israelis, who always sought to disrupt good relations between the U.S. and Egypt.
Right.
He suggested that the Israelis like to play the fundamentalist card whenever pressures mounted on them to make concessions. And he argued that the Israeli Mossad had been behind terrorist attacks in Egypt as far back as the 1950s. So again, both of those...
Now, this is very funny because I don't even think the Mossad really existed back in the early 1950s. But anyway, that's still not the point. It's still not the point. Why was this shit classified? I don't even know if this one was classified. They just dumped every file ever in the history of the CIA that had anything to do with Kennedy.
Excerpts, if you see them out of context, are just this guy in Egypt speaking to an undercover agent about his opinions. Also,
Dude, it's so wild. Like, this has been like their move the entire time. Like, there's a quote that everyone likes quoting from the Talmud about how Jesus is burning in hell in feces and stuff. And they don't mention the fact that that statement was made by a Roman man in the Talmud. That a Roman man did a non-Jew, by the way, did some sort of thing where he contacted the dead, and he contacted Jesus, who was dead, and he asked Jesus, and that's what Jesus told him. However, no one actually does mention the fact that it is directly stated somewhere else in the Talmud that Jesus is in heaven. It says that at the end of Tractate Sanhedrin, if anyone cares. But it directly says that there. But that no one quotes. It's like, it's taking stuff out of context in like the most manipulative ways. Like, imagine saying that the JFK file says that Israel killed JFK, and the evidence for that is is because a guy in Cairo that's a schizophrenic retard conspiracy theorist said it. Like, what are we even gonna do?
Assuming the agent's undercover, because this guy's talking about wiretaps and stuff like that, he could have known he was speaking to the CIA. I don't know. Again, all of this stuff is out of context because it's just thrown in if it relates to the JFK assassination. So I don't have the full story around who this dude was or anything like that, but I wouldn't exactly...
But the JFK labeled him as a Arab conspiracy-believing retard.
Call him a credible source for information to say that Israel killed Kennedy. Another source that gets passed around about Israel's involvement comes from James Angleton. James Angleton was a CIA agent who testified at a lot of the assassination hearings and things like that. And internally, they say he has numerous foreign sources and channels for developing information.
All right.
The primary source...
By the way, I'm doing this thoroughly with the whole Wendigoon video. I want to make this clear. The reason why I want to be doing this so carefully is because Candace Owens makes a tweet like this where she says it's so weird and lame that we're still pretending we don't know who murdered JFK when she's obviously saying it's the Jews, right? Everyone's obviously saying it's the Jews, obviously. And going down that rabbit hole, all of her videos blaming it on the Jews with no real evidence. Like, it takes hours to debunk the lies that are said in seconds.
Is the Israeli intelligence service. It goes on after this to say that Angleton has independent sources in the intelligence services of France, Italy, Greece, and Great Britain.
All right, so this guy who has contacts in Israel's intelligence service, and also France and India and Britain and all the other ones too.
And on occasion, he utilizes sources in the Vatican. So Angleton has people everywhere, but he primarily operates in Israel. I believe in other documents, or like in other information that's come out not in the JFK files, Angleton oversaw Russian influence within Israel, so he was undercover within Israel to see like if the Soviets moved people or weapons in and out.
Wait, so it's almost like America was spying on Israel? I thought that Israel controlled America. That's crazy.
After Angleton provides a lot of his information, again, this is pre-assassination, 1954, Angleton is notified that a lot of the information he's gathering is going to be shared with other government departments, and Angleton requests that they withhold all of his information concerning Israel. Because in 1954, Angleton was still an undercover agent within
Israel. So this is another thing that Candace Owens does, that she says they even tried to hide the information about Israel, when that's not true. They only tried to hide the information regarding Israel, regarding Angleton, because Angleton was undercover spying on Israel for America, which is the opposite framing of what she actually said.
Israel, and wanted that information kept very close to the chest. The memo says he further indicated that he desired the above method of designation in connection with correspondence dealing with Israeli intelligence matters. With regard to Bureau reports concerning Israeli matters, Angleton advised that such material is being retained under his personal supervision and control. It goes on to say he explained that he is involved in several sensitive projects such as Israeli intelligence, and if his identity were known to the other agencies, security of CIA operations could be prejudiced.
All right, so the reason why they were lying about Israel was to trick Israel, according to the document released by the CIA. And she's like, holy shit, they were hiding stuff that Israel was involved.
So then later in 1965, when information regarding...
There's more. It's endless. It's endless.
Angleton is being gathered, It says, this information for the most part emanated from a liaison arrangement with CIA maintained with the Israeli Intelligence Service and from other sources under the control of Angleton. But a bunch of people are pulling this that says...
who are these people?
Request for Israel information beyond to say that Israel had something to do with the assassination, which for one, it'd be crazy if they wrote that down. If like...
Right, dude. Can you imagine the CIA saying, all right, guys, write this down. We're hiding everything that Israel is involved with. Okay, write that down, store it. All right, guys. Yeah, sure. They're burning everything that Israel is involved with, except they're writing down that they're burning that Israel was involved. Yep. Classic Jews.
They knew that Israel killed Kennedy, and they wrote down like Israel killed Kennedy, but mark out the Israel word. It's just Angleton saying he doesn't want his undercover operations made known to all government agencies. The only thing relating to Israel that actually has any meat to it is this one. So this memo is...
Right, there are 3 mentions to Israel in the entire JFK files. 80,000 files, 3 mentions of Israel. 10,000 mentions of the KGB and of Cuba. But whatever, we don't care about those guys. Let's blame the Jews.
Regarding a comment that was made to an ATF agent the day before the Kennedy assassination. After the Kennedy assassination, an ATF agent who was investigating...
Informant, not agent.
Arms deals down in Cuba.
All right, so a guy in Cuba who was telling things to the ATF, right? The Americans...
like southern Florida, says that a man named Echeverria allegedly made a comment the day before the assassination of President John F. Kennedy that, quote, "We now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews. As soon as we or they take care of Kennedy."
That's the entire quote. A arms dealer in Cuba heard from an informant, and now he is telling a guy in America that the backers are Jews. Let's take care of Kennedy. That's it. ...
Now, this is one arms dealer in Cuba who said this offhandedly. I don't know how a Cuban arms dealer would know if Israel was planning...
because the Cuban arms dealer knows that Israel is going to assassinate Kennedy. You put this together. It's insane. Like, why are we even dealing with this?
Kill the president.
Right.
But this was a comment that the CIA logged as suspicious, and we don't know if they looked into it or if the document is out there somewhere to elaborate. I couldn't find it. The main reason it was so hard to find this document is because this isn't from the JFK files. This is a file that was released years ago.
So all the evidence that they were hiding all of this, it's not true. This is an old file that was always public.
With the initial investigations into the assassinations. So this is old news, been out a really long time. But this is the one thing related to Israel that actually has some weight beyond what someone else said about their opinion regarding Israel. I understand a lot of people have issues with the Israeli government, especially right now. But regardless of how you feel about him, you have to understand when Kennedy was shot, the country had only existed for 15 years, which would be a crazy short amount of time to go from starting existing to shooting the president.
And the amount of wars and shit that they've been dealing with over those 15 years. You really think that in those 15 years, it's insane to even think it's true.
The United States. Now, there are a couple of nations that were really afraid of getting mentioned in these reports.
Yeah, so anyway, the point is, I wanted to go through, that was every mention of Israel in the JFK files. There is zero evidence in the JFK files that Israel had anything to do with it. In fact, it points to Cuba and the KGB and the CIA so much more than it actually points to killing the president of the United States. That said, Candace Owens is so certain that it's a smoking gun direct evidence, she's able to make tweets like this that get 4 million views and 100,000 likes. Possibly botted, I don't even know. But it's crazy to think that this is like a subset of people that exist. It's like, let's blame it on the Jews and figure out the reasons why later. And even if we don't figure out the reasons why, we could just say, oh, Israel just hid the information. So that is the situation that's going on right here. People are freaking out about RFK Jr. that he's actually doing research into different drugs, and every time he decides based on new research that he's changing his mind on something, Candace Owens comes out with a video saying that the reason why he's changing his mind is because the Jews are controlling him.
I'm sorry, there was a thought that vaccines might be related to this. Then they did several studies that said that there was no connection between vaccines and autism. So what are you seeing in this data that you're looking at, or is it all going to be brand new?
The studies that they did were very, very narrow, and there were about 17 studies. The Institute of Medicine, which is part of the National Academy of Sciences, says that 14 of those studies are invalid. And the biggest weakness in those studies is they never studied vaccinated versus unvaccinated group, which is the only...
So he actually decided he is going to do his best. He is going to study everything and figure out why there is more autism. That is RFK Jr.'s big move. He wants to figure out why there is so much more autism today than there was 100 years ago. He doesn't know if it's vaccines. He doesn't know if it's something else. And he is looking into all of that shit. Because he is not immediately blaming the pharmaceutical companies, Candace Owens decided that he is controlled by Israel to vaccinate people with poisons to turn Americans autistic. Okay? Like, that is the levels of jumping and hooping that you have to deal with here. And it is insane.
Way that you can really make this determination. And more importantly, none of the vaccines that are given to children during the first 6 months of life were ever studied. We're going to look at vaccines, but we're going to look at everything. Everything is on the table. Our food system, our water, our air, different ways of parenting, all the kind of changes that may have triggered this epidemic. Which
is incredibly based. Actually do all the research and all the different factors and all the different things to figure out what is causing this epidemic of autism, right? That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Now, again, you could argue that autism wasn't as recognizable back then, and now it's more recognizable, which is why now it's more frequent, but it's not really more frequent. I don't know. I'm not getting into the whole fucking science of it. His argument is, hey, dude, we'll research everything. And Candace Owens is so mad that he's not immediately blaming it on vaccines and pharmaceutical companies and Jews, that she is saying that he is blackmailed by Jews to do this.
It's an epidemic. Epidemics are not caused by genes. Genes can provide a vulnerability, but you need an environmental toxin. So we know that it is an environmental toxin that is causing this cataclysm. And we are going to identify it. We are narrowly focused on identifying it and using as many scientists as we can from universities and research centers all over the world to focus them through NIH, through Jay Bhattacharya, to focus them on answering this question.
Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of his move. He wants to start investigating everything to see where autism is coming from, and Candace Owens is furious about that. She's so mad. RFK Jr. is threading the needle and beginning to look in the process on day 60 of MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, to change the way we look at autism and vaccines, while Ian Carroll and Candace Owens are busy spitting tales about RFK Jr. being sexually blackmailed by Jews. The guy is assembling the top scientists around the world to investigate the real crisis no one wants to talk about, the expansion of autism in children. They're looking at everything: food, water, chemicals in the air, psychological factors, not just pointing fingers, but asking real questions backed by data. No, he can't just walk in and ban vaccines like Candace wants. That's not the way you break down the system, obviously. So obvious if you put it into perspective, but Candace is so mad that he didn't walk in, ban vaccines immediately. She's so furious about that. She thinks that he must be controlled by Israel and manipulated and blackmailed with sexual blackmail and stuff. Now, to put this into perspective, because I have some people in my chat not super happy about the fact that that we're looking into science. I'm kidding. That's not what my chat is saying at all. I just said that as a segue. Let me remind you Candace Owens' opinion on science. Okay, Candace Owens, flat Earth. Okay, listen. Again, I did this oopsies. I typed that wrong, like idiot. Retard typing. I'm sorry. Typing with one hand, holding microphone on the other. I'm on vacation here, okay? It's not working. All right, so let's see.
Silent on the...
No, that's not flat Earth. I want flat Earth. Where's the flat Earth?
Fleck, the daughter of Ben Affleck.
And Ben Affleck. Who cares about that guy? Flat Earth.
And he rolls over. He's like, what are you reading? And I feel like a regular wife says something, I don't know, maybe a love series, Nora Roberts, sweeping her away. Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, oh, I'm reading a flat Earth theory. And it dawned into the entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat Earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it. Whoa. And they included some links, and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
Right.
And of course, he pushed me on this, and he was talking about the earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science.
It's over.
Because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith. Live the other day, and again...
No one thought about it that way. No one saw that one coming. The pagan faith of science. She is a cult leader's wet dream. She will just believe anything. Oh my God. Listen, I agree that you shouldn't believe in everything that the government tells you immediately, automatically. I agree that free thinking and looking into evidence and finding... But like, come on, this is retarded. This is retarded. Anyway, if you want more details, you can definitely check out my content nuke on Candace Owens. I just felt like the recent shit that she's been pushing about, you know, the Jews controlling the government and the world and stuff. I just felt like it's kind of wild. Specifically, in the last 2 weeks, she said that JFK was killed by Jews and that RFK is being blackmailed by Jews. So I felt like we should do a little bit of a deep dive into all the evidence. Spoilers, there was no evidence. I urge you to do your own research. Ask AIs even to see if they can find anything. Search as far and wide as you can, all right? But there is no evidence. There is no evidence. Is there any hard evidence, audio or documents that RFK Jr. blackmail operation, or is it baseless speculation? It is speculative. There is no hard evidence. Is there any evidence at all? Forget hard evidence. Just give me anything. There is no credible evidence, such as verified audio, documents, first-hand accounts that surface to support the claims of an RFK Jr. blackmail operation. Existing allegations largely stem from unverified speculation and anecdotal narratives. Obviously, there's nothing here. Is there any evidence that RFK Jr. had sex with someone recently cheating on his wife, right? Because they're claiming that there's like this whole sex tape. There is no evidence, such as verified documents, audio, first-hand accounts confirming that RFK Jr. engaged in a recent physical affair while married to Cheryl Hines. Allegations of infidelity, including claims of sexting with Olivia Nuzzi, right? That's what we talked about, the sexting thing, and reported affairs with 3 women in his anti-vaccine organization rely on unverified sources, text messages cited by media outlets like this place, and conflicting statements. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. However, if you say that there's something here enough times, and you say, guys, we were right all along enough times, and you pat yourself on the back enough times, and you just blame the Jews enough times, you know what? You can make an entire career. Thanks so much for joining. Appreciate you guys. Definitely subscribe. See you in the next one, gamers. I'm here on vacation bringing you retards whenever I can. Turns out I was right all along, and it was the Jews. Look at that. Jews convincing Candace Owens to be a psyop. For now, you think that all the Jew conspiracy theories are retards because Candace is crazy. So, hey, maybe it was the plan all along. Stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.